Muted.
Today I am accompanied by Tyler, who's going to be manning our chat. You have probably talked to Tyler on the phone. He is one of our fantastic customer service representatives, so you probably have talked to him before. But I'm going to go ahead and start the webinar for us. If I can move my screen. See, 1 second. Thank you. So datum conversions, just a brief history of datum conversions. Basically, you have two datums that FEMA allows us to use. One of them is NGVD 1929, and then we have the other datum, which is NAVD 88. In the 1920s, when the country first started being mapped, they decided to use what would be mean sea level, known as NGVD 29. Because the sea levels are not level, this was causing an inaccurate datums across the U.S. and creating baseflood elevation. So when satellite imagery came in around, they started using NAVD 1988, which is the North America Vertical Datum 88, which is the most recent datum. This is based on satellite imagery. It takes in consideration the satellite imagery of local areas. It takes in the variances of gravitational pull, and it makes the creating of the baseflood elevation more accurate based on local man masses in the area. And this is replacing NGVD. So the NAVD is your more recent datum. Communities are still using NGVD 1929. However, most of them will be converting to NAVD as the area gets remapped. This will be up to the community. Now, to change your datums from NGVD to NAVD, FEMA came up with what is called VertCon 2.0. It is a website that FEMA has created. It does the datum conversions for you from NGVD to NAVD or vice versa. Now, these data conversions can be differentiated across the U.S. It can go from anywhere from 3 foot, depending on where you're at, all the way down to just mere inches. However, if two different datums are being used, one NGVD and one NAVD, and we do not do the conversion, there will cause a drastic change in your premiums because it does change your elevation figures that you are using for processing. So when is a datum conversion needed? You can determine a datum conversion is needed by looking at some basic information that you always have. If you're looking at an elevation certificate and your section B shows a datum of, let's say, NGVD. However, when you look at your section C of your elevation certificate, your datum is NAVD. Since the datums are different, you would have to convert section C to match section B. This is where your section B is where your actual mapping information is. FEMA does not allow us to convert base flood elevations, so we would not be able to convert section B. You would have to convert section C. Also, if you run a zone determination, which we recommend on every policy that you do with us, that you run a zone determination. We recommend that you run that zone determination just to confirm that you're rating it with the most recent map information and that the map information you have is accurate. So if you run a zone determination and it comes back NAVD and you have an elevation certificate, let's just say was completed by a surveyor in 2004, however, we want to use that elevation certificate for rating because it's more beneficial, we would have to look at the datum on that. If your zone determination is based on NAVD, but your figures are based on NGVD, and we would have to do the data conversion to verify that doing the conversion is beneficial or if that is how we're going to rate the policy. So any time that you actually see a difference in datum, whether it's from your zone determination to your elevation certificate or from your two sections, you would have to do a datum conversion. Okay, so I'm just going to pause here for a moment. Does anybody have any questions? Anytime you have any questions throughout the webinar, please do not hesitate to use the chat feature. Tyler will let me know if you have any questions, and he'll also be responding in the chat. So I do see that we had a question that come up earlier of what is a BFE. A BFE is a base flood elevation. It's the elevation or the expected point where FEMA is determining it may flood in that area. Yes, Cindy, the rating system is not exactly set yet to do the conversion for you, but I am going to walk through and show you some slides on how to actually do the data conversion online and the new way that the system will be enhancing shortly. So let me go ahead and go forward. Okay, and this is what I was talking about earlier. In this situation, as you can see, we have a copy of our zone determination or our ZD on the side here. And as you can see, it shows that our BFE is 9, and it's in the datum of NAVD 88. If you can see that on the elevation certificate. Now, this is in section C, and this is based off an older elevation certificate. So if you can see in section C, it does ask you, indicate elevation datum used for an elevation in items A through H below, NGVD 29 to NAVD 88. The surveyor is supposed to mark which datum that section is in. Anytime that you need help determining if a datum conversion will be needed, please by all means call our office or you can chat in. We'll be more than glad to look at that for you and walk you through on how to get the datum conversion process online. Now, we are trying to streamline it online and make it easier for the datum conversions to be processed and for you recognizing it. So I'm going to go ahead and go forward and show you some of the slides. So the old way that we used to do this is that there are basically two websites that we would look at. The first one is iTouchMap, and then we would go to the FEMA website for VertCon. As I had mentioned before, VertCon is the FEMA website that actually does the long math problem from converting your policies to NGVD to NAVD, or not your policies, but your elevation figures from NGV to NAVD or vice versa. So we used to have to go to each of these websites. However, we have set up our system to where we won't have to do that. So basically, when you're in a quote, this is how it will show up for you originally when you're in your elevation figure. So after you put in all your rating information, such as your foundation, your property address, you run your zone determination and everything, when you come down to your section for the elevation certificate, you will see here, the first section that you see, it will ask you for the current base flood elevation. Now, because you ran a zone determination, this automatically pre-fills for you, so you do not have to fill it out. So on our zone determination, as you can see from section C, our base flood elevation, or our BFE, was 9 based on NAVD 88. So our base flood elevation pre-filled the 9 for you. The next question it asks you is the elevation datum used for BFE. So based on the section C of the zone determination, it is showing that it is based on NAVD status. So you would select the option there for NAVD. This is a drop-down box. It only gives you the options for NGVD or NAVD. Since this is based on NAVD, we'll go ahead and select that. The next question it asks you is the elevation datum. Sorry, I'm just waiting for my slide. It's going to be 1 second. The next question it asks you is the elevation datum used for BFE the same as the elevation datum used for the for rating 4? So basically what this is asking you is they're asking you, is the elevation certificate that you have, is the datum based on the same datum of your zone determination? Susan, we only have to use the zone determination if it is actually beneficial and you're not grandfathering. We should always try to rate with the most recent map information unless grandfathering is an option and it's more beneficial. We are currently working on a grandfathering class, so you'll be having a webinar within the next few months regarding grandfathering. However, if you need help determining if grandfathering is more beneficial, please by all means call our office. we'll go ahead and take a look at that for you and see if that grandfathering option is more beneficial than actually doing the datum conversion.
I wonder if she was asking also if they had to use our company's zone determinations, or
No.
if they could use their own.
Yeah, you can use your own zone determination too if you have one. You will have to supply that to us as part of the rating so we can have it on file to report to FEMA.
But I think it's easier because it tags it to the quote already. If you use our system, it's
because if you use our
easier.
system, it does automatically upload it for you, and it does pre-fill the information for you. So, I mean, we do offer that feature. It is no charge to you as the agent to run that zone determination. So by all means, you can run it in our system, and if it's more beneficial, we'll use it. If not, we will look into grandfathering for you. So if you mark yes to that question, though, is the elevation datum used for the DSU same as the elevation datum used for rating? You'll put the elevation figures as they appear on the elevation certificate in Section C. However, if you mark no because Section C does have a different datum than what you are using for rating on the zone determination, if that's what we're using for rating, then you will go ahead and mark no. If you mark no to that question, your latitude and longitude will automatically show up underneath your question. This is the way that you don't have to go to iTouchMap and pull this information. Our system is automatically pulling that information for you. Also, if you mark no to that question, if you look on the right-hand side, you have an I want to section. And under I want to, what will appear when you mark no is a section that says NAVD/NGVD conversion. If you select that box will automatically take you to the VertCon website and another separate tab on your internet, so that way you can fill out the information. So what will happen is you'll take your latitude and your longitude from your quote page, and you would input it into the VertCon underneath the latitude and the longitude. Just remember with the longitude, when you're putting it in, there always has to be 3 digits before the decimal. So if you only have 2, just go ahead and add a 0. There's always also going to be a negative sign before that. Make sure that you take out the negative symbol and just replace that with a 0 if there's not already 3 digits before the decimal. The next part of this, it asks you to put in the orthometric height. The orthometric height is actually the height or the elevation figure off your elevation certificate in Section C. I do recommend that you just go ahead and default that to line C2A, which is normally your top of the bottom floor, or your TOB, as you'll see it listed quite often in places. So you would just take that figure off your Section C, line C2A, and input that. In our situation, it is going to be 13.1 feet. If you do not put in the FT after your height, and also you only put the height into the tenth. So say the surveyor put it in as 13.125. Anything past that 0.1 is not recognized by FEMA, so you would just put it in at 13.1, and then you would have to mark the C. If you do not put FT in, this will convert it over to metric, which will give you the wrong datum conversion. So just make sure that you put it into the tenth and then add FT after it. And then the next section, it says select vertical datum. This is the datum that your elevation figure or your orthometric height that you just put in is. So in our scenario on the elevation certificate, it does say NGVD. So you would mark NGVD and then hit submit. When you hit submit, it does give you the factor of your elevation difference. So here's our elevation certificate, as you can see. Okay, here is our orthometric height and datum shift difference. I do recommend that when you look at this, the printout from the VertCon website, you do see where it says NGVD 29 height, and then you see converted to NAVD 88 height. Make sure your datum shift is actually subtracted. Sometimes it will show a negative symbol. However, you're actually adding the difference. So in this case, we are subtracting. But sometimes just be careful because sometimes they'll actually add it to the NAVD versus subtracting it, even though there's a negative symbol. So just watch your difference between the two heights. So what you would do then, now that you have your datum shift, which is a negative 0.860, what you would do is take this number, the negative 0.860, and subtract it from each elevation figure in section C. So you would subtract them, and then you would put the difference in. So as you can see in our example on the screen, the top of the bottom floor is 13.1 on the elevation certificate, but when we subtract our datum shift, it moves it to 12.2. Now, sometimes when you do the datum conversion and you're subtracting numbers, in this case, I believe it was 13.1 minus 8.6 was like 12.265, I believe. However, you don't round. You would just put the number in as the 12.2. So no rounding, so you just put them in. So you would just take that 0.860, subtract it from all figures in section C, and put those new elevation figures minus the datum conversion into the system. And that's how you would do a datum conversion. And you would just have to save that one page. Let me go back. You would have to save this VertCon page to our system just to show why the elevation figures had changed. Now, like I said, this is the way that we're currently doing it. We are currently beta testing in our office a new way to do datum conversions to make it easier for you as the agent. We are currently testing this live in-house. So if you want assistance with the datum conversion, please by all means give us a call. We'll show you how that works and help process that datum conversion for you. But this is a new update that's going to be coming shortly, and I believe it is going to be one of the best updates we've ever done in a long time. So as we said before with our last one, when you have the current, you do the zone determination in-house, the base flood elevation will automatically pre-fill for you. And then you'll select again the datum that your zone determination is in. And if your datums are different from your elevation certificate to your zone determination, you would mark no. Now, as you can see again, your latitude and longitude do come up on your screen just so you can keep them in reference. However, the best thing that is, I think it's better than sliced bread, but the best thing is that you can now go ahead and click on the convert datum as soon as this goes live. And when you hit convert the datum button, it'll automatically do the conversion for you. So you'll actually get a screen that looks similar to what you're seeing on your screen now, showing the datum conversion automatically processed. And it automatically gives you the height difference. So, and also they're testing now to get this to automatically save to the system for you, so you'll no longer have to save this page. And as you can see, you'll no longer have to upload this, so it'll automatically upload it for you. And then just like the last datum conversion that we're currently using, you'll just apply your datum shift to all your figures in section C, and then input them into the system. All right, and that's our basic information on datum conversions and when one is required. Does anybody have any questions? You can type them in. Also, so that you know that in your material sections of your webinar toolbar, and the material sections, there are the handout for this. It's a little different than what you've seen as far as the PowerPoint presentation. However, the PowerPoint presentation is there. You can print those out. There's also a handout in case you want to print it out and leave any notes on the side. There's also some information regarding NGVD and NAVD from FEMA on there. It is a 2-page printable. It has a lot of great information on it.
There you go, sir.
The data conversion is for all properties. It wouldn't matter if it's pre-firm or post-firm. If you're using an elevation certificate and it's more beneficial, for pre-firms, it's post-firms that are required. But if the datum conversion is going to be more beneficial and you're then grandfathering or other options we may find for them, then we'll go ahead and do the datum conversion. They're not eligible for grandfathering. We may have to go ahead and just do the datum conversion and process it that way for them, but it's for all properties. Can you help her with the toolbar? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Should be on the side of their screen, right? Then there's one that says, are we going to redo converting existing ECs as of when?
Well, any elevation certificates that you have, whether they're old or new, you don't have to redo the elevation certificate itself. If it is a datum conversion because it's an older elevation certificate, then we can go ahead and do that. And that will always be for now until FEMA changes the rules and regulations regarding it. So I hope that answers your question, Christina. Yes, datum conversions are already in force. We are required to do it the way with just hitting the convert datum button. With that yet, that is not in force yet. We are currently testing it and actually just trying to break it to make sure that it actually is going to function correctly for you as the agent first before we release it, but we are hoping to release it very shortly.
If we have a new C, will this reflect the correct datum and no conversion is needed?
Cindy, that's kind of a, that would depend on the surveyor who actually completed it. I mean, the surveyor could, okay, well, the surveyor should be doing it on the most recent datum and the datum based on your community. However, if your community hasn't done the datum conversion yet and they haven't moved from NGVD to NAVD, there may not be one needed. But if it's a new elevation certificate, it shouldn't require one, but it may, and it's something that we have to look at as a possibility for all elevation certificates.
Hey, Sam, I guess the agents don't have the toolbar. They just have a microphone, window size, and a raised hand.
It should have a materials button. Caitlin, do you mind logging in as the agent? Okay, we're going to have somebody double check that for us regarding the materials section. Just bear with us for a second.
Yeah, it just says no, they say no materials or toolbar.
Jim, will existing policies be converted at some point? Well, the policies that are currently written as they are, they should either have already had the data conversion if it was required, already processed on them. However, this could be caught during clear communications. Clear communications is a FEMA directive that is requiring us to basically render it all policies, and everything's going as a schedule with FEMA as they have it. We are processing these and trying to complete them as quickly as possible to make sure everything goes out on time. But if there was a data conversion that was needed, it should have been already processed on existing business. However, if it was not for some reason, we will catch it during the clear communications and get it updated for you.
Yeah, there are some that I've seen that have slipped through a little bit. It's just taking us time to run through and get those updated, pretty much. And it's just because FEMA said we have to re-underwrite our book of business, basically.
I have somebody checking on the materials list. If there's not a way for us to get it to you through here, what I will do is I'll get everybody's email that had attended, and I'll send it out to everybody by email.
Or we could wind up Dropboxing it if they don't have a like a way that we can bulk email.
Are you able to upload it in chat?
No, it's too large of a file. It won't let me throw it in there. There's no way, which is weird.
Materials? You uploaded it as a,
well, I think, Caitlin, you'd have to log in as a as an agent.
Yes, you did. Yeah, it's showing up on your.
What section's it on?
Oh no, look, it presented you over to a presenter because it's on your laptop.
Oh yeah, we have 3 people on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get that email out to everybody for the materials that were attached here. I do apologize that you're not able to access them. I will get with our company that we use for our webinars and let them know that wasn't showing up.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, I just logged you out as a flow trainer. I just logged out as a whole. Does anybody have any other questions regarding datum conversions? Hold on,
Oh, okay. Someone just said that there's a link to the attendees material. It's in the reminder email.
Oh, it's in the reminder email? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it had an option to review the materials. Apparently they don't have a link, or they don't have a box that they can look at, but when we upload the materials into it, it gives them a link so they can pre-download what they need to. So they don't, that makes sense because they don't want to have a large file size sitting there.
That does make sense.
Yay, Melissa just saved us. Yay, thanks, Melissa.
Yes, thank you so much, Melissa.
So basically it will be like a remapping on all